I looked at him, the gaunt, gorilla-like creature standing in front of me, imposing and strong. I smiled, not a friendly smile, not a diplomatic smile, but a smile of knowing. The smile I usually have when they are about to use the phrase, "I told you so," within the next few weeks. The poor bastard had just declared war on humanity. The same kind of warrior species that's stupid enough to think mankind's outstretched hand of friendship is a sign of weakness. The Lamartians, the SciFi, the Scatani, and of course the Marano all failed in their attempts to conquer humanity. "What makes you think you'll succeed?" I asked the Umundi general as he looked at me. His expression changed. "Others have tried? Meaningless. They won't miss their vassals and we can negotiate payments for slaves," he replied. "So I take it you didn't read the pamphlets you were sent at orientation." "Not surprised. They never do." I maintained my knowing smile, looking forward to the expression of defeat that inevitably followed. "It matters not. Weakness will always be punished. Nobody will come to their aid. Nobody seemed to object to it anyway. That's what weakness does. You have nobody willing to fight for you," he replied incredulously. "You really are just plain stupid, aren't you?" I said, still maintaining my smirk. He glared at me, his expression changing from apathy to rage. "So when we are done with the humans, we come for you then. So be it." "Yup, just as dumb as they all are. You have the same arrogance as the SciFi did. Emphasis on DI'd. But go on, little ape creatures. Go on. Wage your war. Declare the humans weak. It's always so funny when the homeworld explodes," I said with my grin and laughed my way back into my office. We heard no more from the Umundi for a week after this. Humanity was still attempting to placate them or bring them to the negotiating table. The Umundi were, of course, not interested. As expected, I sat in my office, as usual, entertaining one of the ambassadors from the Thatandi conglomerate. "So," I said as I typed on my computer screen, "any thoughts on the Umundi-Terran situation?" "The betting markets have opened." One of her eye stalks peered up at me from her desk. "Not really. It's going to go the same way it always does. One Pyrrhic victory, followed by a disastrous defeat. It stopped being shocking after the third time it happened." "Indeed. We weren't expecting that last one, though. It still makes me laugh," I said with a chuckle. "You Saranai, so arrogant," she replied with a scowl. "We have reason to be. We apparently were the only ones intelligent enough to see humanity for its universal truth. The Great One really did make sure we were the ones holding the gun instead of dodging bullets, like the Umundi are about to learn." I laughed again, seeing the betting markets going ballistic for the 5th time. "So, how much did you win the last time this happened? Betting odds still against the humans as usual?" she asked. "Of course. They always are. It's because they always seem to forget that humans are insane. For some reason. First bets on invasion is always against humanity. I never even bother with those. I always play the long game. They never fail. The bets on what planet falls first, though. That's a bit more in the air. Everyone's thinking on New London on one of the border zones. I know it's going to be New Kosovo, though. I'm aware of the Umundi's tactics. They will meet a rather nasty surprise." I laughed again, placing 20,000 credits on the Umundi's tactics paying off. "And what tactics are those?" she asked, now staring at me with her full attention. "A gambler never reveals his bets until they pay," I replied with a chuckle. "We are supposed to be allies, you know. Not when it comes to the betting markets, we aren't." I replied with a chuckle and resumed more important work. 2 months. It's all it took. 2 short months. I was laughing all the way to the bank at this point. My bets paying off 20 times what I paid in. The Umundi were defeated. It played out exactly as I thought it would too, and damn did I make bank. I sat quietly in my office counting the zeros in my account. All legal zeros, of course. All my transactions were registered and approved. But so many zeros. I enjoyed one of the things humans call cigars, a strangely delightful creation, and reclined in my chair. My office door bashed open, and before I could respond, I was grabbed and hauled out of my desk. I recognized the form of the Umundi ambassador holding me by the collar. "Well, hello, Stakar. Good to see you too," I said, casually blowing a puff of smoke in his face. How did you know?" He barked, squeezing my collar. "Because it happens all the time, you stupid idiot. You aren't the first one to see an outstretched hand of friendship and fail to notice the nuclear-powered dagger hidden behind it," I replied and slapped him away from me. I got back on my feet and resumed sitting in my seat, puffing my cigar. I chuckled sadistically. I was genuinely enjoying the sight as I watched him slump on the ground and slowly climb into a chair. He sighed, put his head in his hands. "We lost an entire legion," he groaned. "I know. Amazing, isn't it? Predictably, the humans fell for your declaration and sent as many of their troops as they could to New Kosovo, especially after all the false signaling systems you used. Then you invaded New London instead, a small new colony on the outskirts. You predictably overwhelmed the humans, using massive numbers and strength as both a guarantee of success and also to intimidate the humans into doing something stupid. I said, puffing my cigar. He nodded. They still escaped. We expected to find slaves, or at least resistance. We found the planet abandoned. He replied, "Ah, yes. You apparently believe humans to be as stupid as you. Consequently, you didn't know they evacuated border zones during war." Ha! The Marino learned that one the hard way, huh? I chuckled, remembering that battle. That's hilariously predictable. Marano fleets arrived above a colony world, a developed one, and found light resistance in space before landing an army, only to find the entire city's defenses entirely automated, costing thousands of lives in securing a city that had effectively been abandoned. They found the Central Command, expecting a military leader, and instead found their doom. I replied, "The planet exploded." He trailed off. "Yeah, shame you didn't read the pamphlet. It would have told you about a policy they call Scorched Earth. You would have avoided the loss of your entire 7th, 6th, and 9th armadas, and the loss of your flagship." How many casualties was that? 2 million men, was it? Quite the sizable military, that. Lost in less than 15 seconds. Funny. The Marano learned that lesson, too. Except they were stupider than you and committed half their empire's military to Sarajevo, too. Then lost it when humanity's last warrior on the planet fell. They detonated their seismic bombs and a few nukes. That was messy, I replied, puffing my cigar. He collapsed back on the floor in despair. They blew up their own planet! Yeah, see, humans are more concerned about the lives of their citizens rather than land. They can settle almost anywhere, you know, humans being what they are. Stubborn. So land is infinitely replaceable. The lives of those who live there, not so much. So in every planet they put in some rather nasty contingencies before they even start their first farms. It's part of the human condition, really. They got there first, they won it, they settled it. Blood, sweat, toil, tears, etc. They'll be damned before they let anyone take from them what they built. It's called Scorched Earth, you see. Deny resources to the enemy, so whatever they take from us, they can never use against us. They destroyed our first colony, just marbled it, he said, sobbing on the floor. Ah, yeah. They did the same to the Scatani, too. Scatani attacked them and made a public showing of executing some civilians. Humanity responded by using their top-of-the-line cloaking tech to turn their first historic colony, Marius VI, into an ash-blasted, irradiated hellscape with a few thousand nuclear warheads, right in front of one of the largest navies in the galaxy. They usually do this as a show of force. They call it feck around, find out. The Scatani sure found out. Ha! I laughed again. Then they sent in those mutants. The freaks! We lost our army on Gahara. 15,000 men, gone, to just 60 of them. Ah, yes, the Legionnaires? The Lamartians learned about them. They didn't last as long as expected, eh? God, that was shocking. The Lamartians were the first to declare war. The first to ignore the blade hidden behind the smile. The first to lose entire armies and fleets to humanity's unforgiving nature. The first to have their capital invaded by a unit of Legionnaires, then have their entire council slaughtered en masse in full public view as a result of the Scatani's victory in Ceres 4. Again, human cloaking tech and their mutant abominations, the Legionnaires. They showed the galaxy they had a few tricks hidden away and weren't willing to accept any loss. Lamartian Empire lost 2 fleets, 500,000 men and 2 planets, one of which they took from the humans. Ha! The look on their military leaders' faces when they signed the surrenders. That was so funny I lost my lunch from laughing so hard, I replied with a chuckle, finishing my cigar. He just continued to sob on the ground. Yeah, life's gonna be fun. Another vassal joins the Terran Empire. All we do now is wait for the chance for the next arrogant upstart to cast the first stone, only to realize humanity is now aiming an entire mountain at them in response. Never stops being funny. Every time one of their planets is taken, they expend every resource they can to evacuate their own people. Then, while the enemy celebrates a paltry victory, the planet they just took just explodes, taking the invaders out with it. Scorched Earth. Insane creatures, I said. What kind of world produces a race of such madness? He asked through his tears. A world called Earth. A Class 14 death world, that's what. It's a nice place, actually. Makes sense. But anyway, I believe you have an appointment with the human ambassadors this afternoon. Might want to bring cookies before they wipe out the 5th and 6th fleets, I said, turning my monitor towards him to show a human fleet on the borders of Umundi space. He looked, then resumed bawling like a toddler. He cried and crawled his way out the door, dragging himself along the ground as he sobbed towards the Terran Federation's offices. I simply shrugged, smiled, and lit another cigar.